I'm sorry. But I don't want to be an emperor. That's not my business. I don't want to rule or conquer anyone. In this world, there's room for everyone, and the good earth is rich and can provide for everyone. The way of life can be free and beautiful, but we have lost the way. Greed has poisoned men's souls, has barricaded the world with hate, has goose-stepped us into misery and bloodshed. We have developed speed, but we have shut ourselves in. To those who can hear me, I say, do not despair. The misery that is now upon us is but the passing of greed, the bitterness of men who fear the way of human progress. The hate of men will pass, and the power they took from the people will return to the people. And so long as men die, liberty will never perish. Soldiers, don't give yourselves to brutes. Men who despise you, enslave you, who regiment your lives, tell you what to do, what to think, and what to feel, who drill you, diet you, treat you like cattle, use you as cannon fodder. Don't give yourselves to these unnatural men with machine minds and machine hearts. You are not machines, you are not cattle, you are men. In the 17th chapter of St. Luke it is written, the kingdom of God is within man, not one man nor a group of men, but in all men, in you. You, the people, have the power to create machines, the power to create happiness. You, the people, have the power to make this life free and beautiful, to make this life a wonderful adventure. Then in the name of democracy, let us use that power. Let us all unite.
Citizens of the United States, this is a message from Anonymous. This is a message to the 99%. This is a message to what is becoming the American autumn. This is a message to the whispers of revolution beginning to stir in every major American city, and in the heart of every afflicted member of the youth. It is becoming obvious that due to certain technical difficulties the revolution will not be televised. It will not be broadcasted. This is quite alright, media, you serpents of the elite, for we will go under you. We will go around you. We will go over you. And we will go beyond you. You no longer control the floodgates. The era of the internet has arrived, and it will consume you. This movement will be downloaded. It will be streamed. It will be circulated. And it will spread like a wildfire. Without direction. Unpredictable. Vast and devastating. Look around you, America, the leaves are beginning to sour, cracks are appearing in them. They are falling from the branches, dead and rotting. So are our politicians. So are our banks. So is our media, and so is our society. This country has never seen a movement from our generation. They have never seen a movement from the children of the internet. They haven't the slightest clue what we are capable of, we masters of information, we conductors of thought. The tipping point has arrived. We have reached critical mass. This is the point of no return. Carry this movement through the winter. Carry this movement through the bitter cold and into spring. Shake off your morning dew, youth, for ye are many, they are few. Washington. We have no bombs. We have no weapons. We have no threats, but behold the power of the quill and ink. Members of the military. You took an oath to defend this country from enemies both foreign and domestic. Walk with us, among us, as one of us. Unions. You have a score to settle. Walk with us, among us as one of us. Artists. Move the movement. Stoke the flames. We are all the 99%. We are all anonymous. We are all legion. We will never forget. We will not forgive. Expect us.
The idea is to try to help change the Middle East. Now look, the main reason we went into Iraq at the time was we thought he had weapons of mass destruction. It turns out he didn't, but he had so much resentment and so much hatred that people came and killed 3,000 of our citizens. The terrorists attacked us and killed 3,000 of our citizens before we started the freedom agenda in the Middle East. What did Iraq have to do with what?
The attack on the World Trade Center.
Nothing. Defeat resentment is with hope. And the best way to do hope is through a form of government. You know, everything was just fine until we arrived. And at this hour, American and coalition forces are in the early stages of military operations to disarm Iraq, to free its people, and to defend the world from grave danger. On my orders, coalition forces have begun striking.
A war of necessity rather than choice. Vice President Cheney said we would do the same thing all over again.
But how do you determine what will happen in the future? Well, you have to look to the record. You have to look to what we say in campaigns.
Egotism,
and what we have done during our
narcissism.
Islamofascism is real.
Their goal is to unite the world under a single jihadist caliphate.
Use fear and falsehood.
My view is we had a double Guantanamo.
What do you talk about when you have nothing to say?
This is insanity.
Some of these people frighten me. They frighten me.
President Bush has talked about our staying in Iraq for 50 years.
Maybe 100.
The danger from Iran is grave.
Well, I'm not concerned about the voters.
It'll be a really nice fruitcake.
But I can't be president unless you choose me to be, and I hope you will.
Deficit financing, big government, more taxes, more bureaucracy, more regulations, more policing the world.
What are you guys talking about, you know?
He wants to bring the troops home now and end America's involvement in 5 bloody, expensive, and immoral wars across the globe.
This is just going to shake the establishment. They do not want this guy running for president.
And if this champion of personal freedom were able to persuade Congress and the American people of the virtues of limited government, and that it's the only moral and practical solution for a free people and a free society, guess what your income tax bill would be? 0.
The message of freedom is an everlasting message. It can never get old and can never die.
He's sick and tired of all the money printed and perpetrated by the Federal Reserve that's literally stealing money right out of your bank account.
What was sparked by Ron Paul is not finished. It's not consummated. It's ongoing.
Honor the vision of your founders and respect the most sublime constitution devised by human intelligence.
George Washington once said that liberty, when it begins to take root, is a plant of rapid growth. Our first guest tonight is living proof of that.
This country is in a revolution. They're sick and tired of what they're getting, and I happen to be lucky enough to be part of it.
We are resisting an occupation we once risked our lives for. We swore to support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America, but we found out the hard way that the greatest enemies of the Constitution are not to be found in the sands of some far-off land, but rather right here at home.
Ideas spread, they can't stop them. An idea whose time has come cannot be stopped by any army or any government.
Don't give up. Don't retreat into cynicism. Even if we don't win, life is about fighting for something greater than yourself. It's a good thing to fight for what's right, and it's enjoyable to fight for what's right, and it's immensely satisfying to fight for what's right.
For liberty!
Ron Paul, you know, he kind of strikes us the grandfatherly neighbor next door. And he's not the guy you think is going to lead a charismatic movement, you know.
Everything about the whole campaign was so innovative and different from what you're accustomed to seeing. And I think everybody's bewildered in the whole political arena right now. Going, how did this happen? And how come I can't make this happen to my campaign?
This is happening without your campaign people coordinating. This is completely about grassroots, and it's completely about you just saying what you believe in.
You want to abolish the TSA. What would exist in its place?
Well, the airlines are responsible for carrying their cargo and their passengers. I mean, why should we assume that a bureaucracy can do better? And look at the monstrosity we have at the airports. These TSA agents are abusive there. Sometimes they're accused of all kinds of sexual activities on the way they maul people at the airports. So
I want a police officer. I think she left me. I want a police officer now! Now! I want a police officer! You just molested me! For God's sake, somebody help me! Please get a police officer over here! This is my friend! This is illegal! You can't do this! You can't do this to me! I can't believe you just did that to me!
with TSA, something has to be done. Everybody's fed up. The people are fed up. The pilots are fed up. I'm fed up. Enough is enough. And if you can't X-ray people and endanger them with possible X-ray, you can't take nude photographs of individuals, why do we allow the government to do it?
Continent-wide cannot control a federal government with a banking system that prints money like it's paper. They're using inflation as a hidden tax to fuck the people. You can't even call it money anymore. Gold is money. Silver is money. Do your wages go up? No. My wages didn't go up, but prices went up. How am I supposed to live? Because our government prints too much money, starts too much wars, so they can sell their tanks, their guns, their missiles, because that's all America exports, spending our money. Every dollar the government takes in federal taxation is another dollar that they spend. Every time they spend money, that's your money. They bail out Morgan Stanley and the Goldman Sachs. When I fuck up, who bails me out? There's not going to be a middle class in 10 years. And the Federal Reserve. And the fractional banking system. And the Fed. Elect Ron Paul. And the war.
The United States government decides it needs some money, so it calls up the Federal Reserve and requests, say, $10 billion. The Fed replies, saying, sure, we'll buy $10 billion in government bonds from you. So the government takes some pieces of paper, paints some official-looking designs on them, and calls them treasury bonds. Then it puts a value on these bonds to the sum of $10 billion and sends them over to the Fed. In turn, the people at the Fed draw up a bunch of impressive pieces of paper themselves, only this time calling them Federal Reserve notes.
Have you reached any conclusions about the Fed expanding its balance sheet by over $1 trillion since last September?
We have not yet reached any conclusions.
Do you know who received that money?
For the... We're in the process right now of doing our review, and...
Right, but you're the Inspector General. My question to you specifically is, do you know who received that $1 trillion plus that the Fed extended and put on its balance sheet since last September? Do you know the identity of the recipients?
I do not know. We have not looked at that specific area.
There is no authority in the Constitution authorizing a central bank, which means there should be no Federal Reserve.